have to remember that philosophy of mine that I'm unstoppable. So when I'm struggling to get out of bed in the morning, I say, remember, I'm telling the world I'm unstoppable. So get in the shower and get going with your day. Don't hit the snooze button. Just so much life that I couldn't have a better motivator to get out of bed that I get to laugh and play with animals. I just got back from getting a massage and the guy said, "What do you do for fun?" And I said, "Well, my work and fun are interchangeable. It's
Yeah.
play talking with animals." So there's many different ways to answer that, but really the simplest way is to say that I was always very, very intuitive as a child and was tuning in psychically with energy all the time. I was getting messages from my very first dog, Teddy. And when the school priest told me that dogs don't go to heaven, when my first dog died at 10 years old, most people, if this were live, everybody would boo, they have a boo sign. Having a priest tell me at 10 years old that dogs don't go to heaven, luckily, didn't knock me off my tracks because I knew that wasn't true. And whether you call it heaven, spirit, the afterlife, I'll just use those interchangeably. I saw Teddy's spirit rise out of his body after he passed. So I didn't need any more proof or evidence than that. And I was always aware of the difference between what someone was saying versus what they were doing. And animals are straight shooters. What we see is what we get. So it was much easier for me, much simpler and more fun to simply be connecting with animals all the time. And nature. Loved spending time in nature and chasing after frogs and watching the river and the stream. Keep us present and in the moment. And it's really the path to peace is spending time with animals and nature. And I've taught as well. I usually teach the fun stuff, so I don't teach math. God help me. But I've taught comedy, improv skills, creative writing to children and animal communication, pet care. And I'll tell kids, put down your iPads, turn off the TV. And if you want the greatest entertainment of all time, do you know what it is? And they're all hanging on the edge of their seats, like, what? What? I said, go watch your pets. Go play with your pets, but watch your pets as well. I just became a first time cat mom. So I have been a dog mom my entire life, just adopted my first cat who named himself and watch Magic Mike. By the way, he named himself Magic Mike. So now I watch Magic Mike, watching the birds, watching the squirrels, watching the bunny rabbits. I learn from him. And it's not even that I'm asking him questions. It's not so formal as sometimes people think of it as. It's just being with him, observing and learning and receiving. Well, the long and winding road, as they say, or God bless the broken road that brought me straight to here doing it. I actually write about that. Here's the cover of the book, An Open Mic for Animals. I write about my whole journey becoming, or like I say, remembering that I'm an animal communicator. I had to clean up my life's litter box. Getting sober was a big part of me, a big part of my remembering that I'm an animal communicator. I had been doing it without knowing what I was doing, and the adults around me were pretty unnerved by my saying things that I had no way of knowing about animals and about themselves. So my gifts went dormant for a while. But I was always freakishly intuitive, constantly being labeled street smart, uh, those types of things. Didn't really know what to do with that. And actually went through a pretty long depression where I just wasn't feeling connected. I would still get signs, but I wasn't actively feeling what I call like the whoa, like really tuned in and joyful. I had lost my joy. And for some reason, I'm seeing Winnie the Pooh as I talk about. Oh, well, probably because I went from really being Winnie the Pooh and Tigger to feeling a lot like Eeyore. And so, how do you get your Winnie the Pooh spirit back? How do you get your Tigger joy like energy back? And that was a long process of cleaning up my own life's litter box, getting very real with myself about what needed to go out of my life in all circumstances, and in getting very clear and straight in my own mind, body, and spirit. That then helped me receive my gifts again. I was actually in a hypnosis session, and the hypnotist led me through an exercise where she said, "You're walking down a hallway. There's doors on the left and there's doors on the right. Which door do you open?" So Now it's my subconscious answering the question. I have no time to think about it. Like in our conversation, now I have a little bit of time, not much, to think about the answer. In this case, I didn't. So it was, I opened the last door on the right. And she said, and what's behind the door? And in an otherworldly voice, I said, Narnia. So from C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, of course. Now the hypnotist had no idea what it was. I did. And the moment I opened the door in my mind, I actually saw the winter wonderland with all the brambles, but I knew I'd made it to Narnia. So it was like, the good news is I've made it to Narnia. The challenging news is I got to work through winter to get to spring, where, of course, Aslan the lion lives, where the gifts lie, the magic lies, so to speak. So that whole story of how I uncovered that and remembered that was a few things that happened to me. My own animals helped me with that immeasurably. My own animals that have passed since continue to teach me about what the afterlife is like, what animal souls are like, how unlimited they are. I mean, it's almost embarrassing how, as human beings, for so long, we're taught, human beings are here and animals are here. And really, the joke is on us. Animals are such highly evolved beings. They're the ones with all the, I don't know what's above a PhD. I don't know, but whatever's above a PhD to the 10th power is what animals have. And we're, kindergartners and first graders there sitting there being their messengers. It's fascinating to me. So for many years, I had been and still do lead humor retreats. So I'm a big advocate of using humor, having fun, and playing. And as I talk about in my book, animals don't need us to be at a level zero. They don't need us to be, librarian quiet. We don't have to meditate and chant, do anything special. But if you are in the spirit of play, you're going to have some fun with animals. And I always defer to the squirrels on this one. Because at any given moment, short of getting hit by cars, squirrels are having a darn good time. They're shooting up the trees, they're leaping on the poles, they're inviting dogs to play, they're having a good time. And watching them, engaging with them, opens up the energy of play with us, the childlike energy. Children are also wonderful beings to spend time around, but of course, then we have to be in charge. When we sit just simply in nature and we watch, like you did as a kid, as I did as a kid, watching the spirit of play, being part of the spirit of play. Animals love a playful soul. So the more that we can be in tune with our own sense of humor, our own inner child and wisdom and energy, think about going to a party. Are animals going to want to sit at the adults table or the kids table? Why? There's a good reason. They know where the good conversation's at. They know who's going to drop food on the floor, and they know who's really paying attention to them and who's most likely to say, hey, mom, I think Fluffy's hungry. Hey, mom, I think, Rover needs to go to the vet, because they're not sitting there second guessing themselves. They're going on their instincts and what they see, hear, and feel, same as animals. So they're living in the moment. Uh, was it a stretch? I would not say it's a stretch. I think that having having gone so far off the deep end in the wrong way in life with addictions and trauma and depression, and then coming back up naturally, joyfully, in a healthy way, it was rather easy then to be connected spiritually with animals and simply with energy, because I'm also a people medium. So I can sit down to do a cat reading for someone and their grandmother drops in. I can sit down to do a people reading and their deceased dog or cat or turtle jumps in. In fact, I have a good friend who's in her 60s now. And I went to take a nap one day. And as I'm trying to close my eyes, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. And I opened up my eyes, and floating in front of me was an orb of a stuffed animal that this friend had given me. Her name is Tammy. And I went, well, that has to do with my friend Tammy. The next thing I knew, I see the spirit of a guinea pig. Well, that's Tammy's. That has to belong to Tammy. Came right after the stuffed animal. Quickly messaged my friend on a random, Tuesday afternoon. Hey, Tammy, did you ever have a guinea pig? And she's just out doing her shopping. And she says, yes, he died 50 years ago. Why? Which I love that story because it's so unexpected. And why this day did this guinea pig decide to jump in? Well, the message, which I obviously asked the guinea pig, other than hello, my gosh, thank you for coming to pay me a visit. But obviously, you're not here for me, you're here for your mom. What do you want me to tell her? He said, tell Tammy, the guinea pig's name is Herbie, that the test results will be fine. Let her know not to worry, test results will be fine. Yeah, exactly. That's what my face did. My eyebrows raised. And she said, I'm on my way to the doctor's office right now to get the test results back. So, was it a stretch? No. It was really a matter of as soon as I stopped living the wrong way, all the right things entered my life. And as soon as I started to remember who I am, which is so much the power and the story of Narnia itself. The little children, remember Lucy in the story, and nobody believed her. Nobody believed her. Well, I don't really care who believes me. I joke that I eat skeptics for protein. It's like, your lack of belief in what I do doesn't invalidate it at all. So you go ahead and believe what you believe. I'm going to go ahead and just keep enjoying the party because the animals and I are having a good time, and the spirits and I are having a good time. And we're going to do that. Come and join us when you're ready. Yeah. Whew. It's so much fun. And I tell people that don't be surprised if a lot of laughter starts. That's my dog Kermit in the background. uh, don't be surprised if a lot of laughter comes into your grief reading. Number one, because animals have such a wild sense of humor, along with their wisdom. But what happens is people will show up to a session with me, usually by video chat. And within that, again, usually an hour, I will watch their faces go from sobbing tears and flushed red to relaxing to, oh, oh, that sounds like him. We did used to do that. Oh my gosh, he remembers that? It is a metamorphosis that happens like this. And getting to participate in that and getting to facilitate that, I literally want to bow down to the animal kingdom and to the spirit world, because the honor in doing this work is something that I treasure more than anything other than my own pets. I play with my work, but I take it extremely seriously, because when people show up on the other side of my screen, most of the time they're either in grief or they have a very serious challenge with their pet, a behavioral issue, an intense medical issue. I mean, I have stories within stories within stories of the very serious thing that people are coming up to me with. I need to get answers. I need to get evidence. I need to honor where they're at. But the animals take the lead. I mean, I have to have a clear channel and a clear presence, and make sure that I'm delivering messages exactly as I hear them. And I always remind people I am the messenger, not the message. Just like the weatherman delivers the forecast but doesn't create the hurricanes. Like I remember hearing Al Roker years ago talk about, like, stop sending me hate mail about Al Nino. I'm not responsible for it. Luckily, I get to deliver a lot of good news to people as well. But just creating that heart-centered connection for people is why I love doing this work. It is very easy as well. Just the way that I'm talking with you right now is the exact same way that I facilitate a conversation with the squirrel outside my window, with the pets on your lap, and the gerbil that passed, or the guinea pig or gerbil. I keep messing up his species. Please forgive me. The same way that I talk with the guinea pigs, the gerbils, the fish, the tigers, the bears, the lions in spirit that have passed. It's really no different. It's just slightly dialing in a different radio station. Do people still say radio station? My dog Jack passed right after I finished my manuscript and gave me 13 pages worth of signs that were life changing for me, because even though I was already doing this work, it took it to a whole new level. And there was a look that he gave me. All of us as pet parents hopefully know the look that our pets send us when they're ready, right? I've had enough. I'm ready to leave the body. This was a different look. This look was, Mom, I'm going somewhere so big and so big and amazing, incredibly amazing, that I can't put it into words. So I'm going to send it to you in a look. And he did. And it was, again, like when I described earlier about sitting with my cat Magic, watching him watch the birds, watching him watch the squirrels. There were no words needed. I see the squirrels. I feel the love. I feel the energy. And what Jack was sending to me was, Mom, it's okay. And where you're sending me is a gift. It's not a cliche. It's not, oh, I wish that they were going to a better place. It's simply they are going to a better place. And let that happen. And they will in turn send us the signs that this is where they went. I can tell a quick story about a dog named RJ, who was one of my clients' pets, one of the very, very first animals that I've worked with. So I do remember this very well. And I was sort of, oh gosh, I really have to get this right. Da, da, da. Evidence, 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 which I still do, but I was feeling more pressure at the time. And this dog mentioned knocking something over, and it came back up and down, up and down. And I said to the mom, RJ keeps talking about knocking something over, and then you put it back up. She said, oh my gosh. She said, we have a tiki torch in the backyard. And nobody knew about this. RJ would dig up the tiki torch, and mom would put it back up. And RJ would dig it up, mom would put it back up. And RJ said, tell her about the white flowers, there's white flowers everywhere. And she had put white flowers all around his grave. Nobody knew that. And then something super cool. She said, is RJ with my mom? So this person's mom, Tina's mom, had passed. And Tina said, is RJ with my mom? Well, now anybody can say, oh yeah, they're together and they're happy and they're having a wonderful time, right? Number one, that's what the person wants to hear. And that's the easy answer. While I knew this was true, I felt here in my gut, yes, they're together. I always want to get it from the animal's words. It's not my description of this dog's experience, it's RJ's. So RJ heard the question, and I said, RJ, are you with Tina's mom? And this was so wild. I now experience RJ experiencing talking to his mom and seeing Tina's mom. And I actually saw RJ's head almost like poking through two different realms, like, huh, oh, double moms. Dog's perspective of I watched him perceive and receive, oh my gosh, I'm usually in this realm, talking with grandma, and now, oh my gosh, my mom's kind of peeking up into this realm through an animal communication session, and that blew me away. Again, you see me lighting up with the joy that I felt of this dog going, what? Double moms, they're both here. So, and that, when my client watched me experiencing it so authentically, that's fantastic. I can't make this stuff up. And there's those micro expressions that we can't make up as people. And those are the things. This is why video chat is an invaluable way to do this, or in person if you can, but you'll get the same benefit. Watching the light in the animal communicator's eyes come on because we're receiving it from your beloved animal or person. And then passing that on to you. It's the love, it's the laughter, it's the memories. There was one puppy that came through and said, excuse me, it was now a senior dog, about 16. Tell dad thanks for the marshmallows. Thanks for the marshmallows. And the man said, oh, I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. And his wife hit him on the shoulder and said, yeah, you do. I used to always yell at you for feeding him. And the man sat back and went, he remembers that? That was 16 years ago. He remembers that? And they do. They remember the love that we gave them. They remember the gifts, the joy. It makes me want to cry reliving these experiences. So absolutely. I have a number of tips. Number one, you never need to hire a medium or an animal communicator for your loved ones to hear your thoughts. So whether for financial reasons or for fear reasons, you're just not ready, whatever it is, please trust that your animals know that you love and miss them, or they know you're sorry. There's a lot of people, that makes me want to cry. There's a lot of people unnecessarily carrying around guilt around things that they coulda, woulda, shoulda. The pain is gone now. So don't harbor pain on their behalf. It doesn't do anybody any good. So tips, ask for them to visit you and trust that they will. Be patient. And I like to say, don't go fetch, receive. You don't need to go out and hunt for signs. That's the opposite of the energy where they can get through to you, which is why dreams are one of the number one ways that our human and animal loved ones reach us is because we're relaxed. Like when I was in hypnosis and I opened the portal to Narnia, it was like, okay, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's people that are going out into Costa Rica in the middle of the jungle doing ayahuasca to access Narnia. And it's like, I didn't need to do any of that. I just needed to play along and trust. So remember the playful spirit. Remember, they already know your thoughts and feelings. I highly encourage you, if you don't, I mean, who doesn't have photographs of their pets, but print them out and put them in a frame. Talk to the photograph. That will help ground you. Talk to them as if they are still present because they still are. I try to be careful with what I correct people on, but people will say things like, oh, his name was Rowdy. I said, no, no, his name still is Rowdy. Still is. Her name still is Lucy. That hasn't changed, you know? Even if they're reincarnated, even if they're off to another grand adventure, the spirit is unlimited and they can be with us and other people and many different places at once. That's a much longer conversation. But tips on how to reach them, I would also suggest writing them a love letter and asking some questions. Lucy, how do you feel about your new Earth brother, Mayor Puppy Pants? How do you feel about him? You have anything you'd like for him to know? Stop driving mom crazy. That might be the message, right? Something like that. But trust that your animals are listening to you, and trust. And I want to hold my own hand on this one because that's what your pets are doing for you. They're holding your hand and they're holding your heart. So write them the love letter, focus on their photographs, ask them to come in a dream, and ask them to remind you that they have arrived in a dream. Because just because you don't remember the signs doesn't mean they haven't come, right? As soon as their feet hit the floor, whoa, what did I just dream about? What did I just dream about? Oh, no, no. And I really am not preaching here because I'm all about having fun, but keep in your mind clear, whatever that means for you. I had a human client. Well, all my clients are technically humans, but a mother who lost her human daughter. Oh, Amber never comes through. She never comes through, never comes through. And I immediately asked Amber, what's up with this? I come through all the time, Shannon. And so, right about that time every night. So I had to address that with mom. I said, is it pretty much always happy hour somewhere? Amber's trying to get through to you, but you're not a clear channel to receive it. It doesn't mean you have to give up all your bad habits or that they're even bad habits. It does mean be aware of what you might be doing to block the energy to receive your loved one's messages, because they're constantly around us. And there's not so much a here and a there as in everywhere. Remember going to 3D movies and you put on the 3D glasses? Whoa, hey, the sharks are coming right at me. Oh my gosh. In a good way. It's, oh, look, Fluffy's running towards me. There's Buttons bringing me her leash. They're right here. And all of us are capable of receiving signs. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be the smartest in the class. You don't have to be a perfect human being. For God's sakes, our animals don't expect us to be perfect. Just be good people, and clean up your life's litter box so that you can receive their signs. They want to give them to you. Grief isn't a tribute. I think that's a frustrating thing. I'll see things on Facebook that, oh, the amount that you grieve shows how much you loved. And I'm like, I get a little ick factor with that. What's also a great tribute? Continuing to live your life and love another animal. Your suffering is not a tribute. And interestingly, when Jack passed, the one who I said gave me 13 pages of science that I turned into the epilogue, which was rather bittersweet, would rather have not had the epilogue, but it's now a gift to a lot of other people besides myself. I recovered from his passing so much faster because of the trust that I had in the signs that I was receiving. It's not that I wasn't grieving him, but he was like, hey, mom, you got work to do. So we can't have you hold up in the fetal position in bed. We're going to need you to go ahead and recover pretty quickly. And I did, with his love, with his support, and my trust in that. Not to stay in forever. And it's, I mentioned Rowdy earlier. That's one of my golden retrievers in spirit. He passed, 26 years ago. And I was simply choosing cookies in the store the other day. And all of a sudden I became overwhelmed with grief, missing Rowdy. Why? 26 years have passed. And then so with that happens, you can say, oh, thanks, Rowdy. Thanks for saying hi. I feel your presence. I love you, and then darn if it doesn't turn out that the next dog that shows up for a reading is named Rowdy. Or somebody says to their kids right next to me, stop being so rowdy. That thread that shows that we're all connected. So don't discount or dismiss the signs is another tip. And for the love of God, don't seek validation from other people. If your husband or wife or mother, brother, sister, whomever is a skeptic, don't go tell them your magical signs. Keep them for yourself. Write them down, though, so that you remember them yourself. And then the more you acknowledge and say, I know that was you, Rowdy, that, put that fur in my past today. I know that was you that brought that golden retriever that looked just like you to my doorstep. The more that I acknowledge that that was him, the more he goes, okay, she's playing. The signs are going to multiply. It's like help me, help you. It's help them get through to us because they want to. It's the greatest gift that we can give because it's very helpful. It's invaluable to come to an animal communicator and a medium to facilitate two-way conversation. So it's fine and well to have, what feels like a one-sided conversation. I love you. I miss you. I'm sorry. Please come visit me. And then come to an animal communicator. And can you tell Rowdy that I really hope he's there to greet me when I pass? Now I can say, sure, absolutely. Rowdy says yes. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm now going to relay the message to Rowdy. It's invaluable to the recipient then to hear Rowdy say, oh, well, you know how you just got diagnosed with cancer? You still have plenty of life left to live. So he wants you to go ahead and go to the shelter now because there's a dog there that's got your name on him. And you better choppity chop get down there to adopt him because Rowdy's going to be training and teaching him how to be the perfect pet for you. So facilitating two-way conversation is a way that an animal communicator is invaluable, getting answers to your questions. I had a man come to me, his dog Cassie is in spirit, and I do have permission to tell this, and he was racked with pain and miserable grief and guilt over what the vets did wrong, what he wanted to do better. Now, I would not encourage anybody to go down the path that he wanted to go down with getting answers to these very painful questions that now he can't do anything about. But in this man's case, he did need answers. So I gave them to him and I deliver it in as compassionate a way as possible, but also as a direct way as possible because they're not my messages to censor. Two-way conversation, grief relief, evidential answers, and connection. I mean, nothing against therapy. Therapists have their time and place, but I can spend 6 months, 6 years, and thousands of dollars talking about how much I miss my pets, or I can sit down with an animal communicator for an hour or two and actually connect with them. And I will be forever changed as a result of having my animal who passed yesterday, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, bring me love, laughter, evidence, and memories. Thanks for the marshmallows. I remember our 6 p.m. walks. It's 6 p.m. now. Are you going to go for a walk? That will change your soul and you will go through life. I'm careful with guarantees here, but I'm going to go ahead and say I go through life so much more joyfully now. Winnie the Pooh, Tigger jumping with joy. My Eeyore self, once in a while, peeps his head out like Groundhog Phil. And Winnie the Pooh and Tigger are like, you can go back in the hole. We don't need you. So that's how it's invaluable to do this. I just want everybody to know that it is this real as well. There's a lot of skeptics out there. It's real whether you believe it or not. Honestly, it really is a matter of do you believe in your own ability to receive? Not so much whether animal communicators are real. We are. I'm not a unicorn. I like to dress like one. But I'm not a unicorn. I'm very real. And I don't care who thinks I'm crazy. So that's another whole part of this is just the more that you get rid of your own filters and your human labels and the what do they think of me and what if this person thinks I'm crazy? Who cares? Animals don't care. They have fun. They play. They're in the moment. They connect with each other. So yeah, it's game changing. It's life changing. I have many, but I narrowed them down to just a few. Ask yourself if you would like to be your pet. One of my favorite questions because should I do this for them? What about this? Would I like to go for a walk at 2 p.m. on a hot Florida sunny day? No, I would not. Then don't do it to your pet. Would I like to have everybody off the streets coming up and petting me and touching me? I would not. It's really rather simple in that regard. So ask yourself, would you like to be your own pet? And make your decisions off of that. Speak up. You might be the only person who says, that choke collar, you don't need to have a choke collar. You can have a harness and just get yourself a great trainer, and you and your animal are going to have a much healthier relationship. Animals know that it's much better to be respected than liked. And the sooner you learn that lesson as a person, the happier and healthier you're going to be, and the happier and healthier your pets are going to be. Don't be shy when it comes to advocating for animals. Um, Little plug for Adopt Don't Shop. You don't get a better animal because you pay more money. You just get a more expensive one. So try and go save a life if you can. And then obviously focus on giving back to the animals. When you add a pet to your family, don't just add them because they're cute. Add them because you can give them love. Bring them into your family because you know this will be a better situation than what they already have. It must be a partnership. They give us so much. Since I brought a cat into my house, I am sleeping deeply in a way that big pharma can't touch with a 10-foot pole. I don't care what type of drugs are out there for insomnia. This cat, you just need to come spend a night with Magic Mike. And even on the first night that I had him, I joked with him, but I said, maybe you'll teach me to astral travel better, right? The process of leaving our bodies when we go to sleep at night and travel the other realms. Maybe you'll teach me to astral travel better than I'm doing now. And sure enough, the first night that he spends here, I wake up at like 3:30 in the morning. Now, Magic Mike's in the room next to my bedroom because I have 3 dogs. So we had to do this a little slowly. But this is how powerful his soul is. I wake up and my dog Kermit is staring over me like this. And I went, where am I? And I was not here. I was being brought back from wherever Magic Mike the cat had taken me to. And Kermit, the dog, was noticing, where's mom? Where is she? Watching over me. So have fun and play, and don't feel guilty about being joyful. They're still here. Don't torment yourself. Receive the love that's all around us and the laughter. One of the things that you said was coming to an animal communicator. Choose somebody that you think that your pets would like, or your people in spirit. And a comedic animal communicator isn't for everybody, but I am for a lot of people that need more laughter in their life, and that are ready to add more laughter and play to their life. So. Oh, wow. Well, as you can imagine, there's many, many things they want us to know, but I tried to narrow it down to the consistent things across species that they want us to know. So whether you're a turtle mom, a bird mom, cat, dog, horse, pig mom, there will be something in there for you that your animals want you to know. And it is simple stuff, but stuff that people really forget about, like wash the water bowl out more often, wash the food dishes out more often. It's something people are embarrassed to admit, like, oh gosh, but we forget. So simple, simple things, the importance of what we name them. I mean, there's lots of good stuff in there that will then have you asking yourself more questions and thinking constantly from their perspectives. That's what's most important. Thank you so much. And they'll also be able to get the audio book there too. There's the audio book, the print books. It was lots of fun to get to animate my animals. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.